She says, I have no control. The actress has said people online have a weird relationship with her. That's what happens when highly, highly suggestive pictures of a beautiful woman are put on display. Hollywood actresses were put on center spreads in magazines, and sometimes posters will be printed, and most of these posters wound up on the walls of garages and in many cases the walls of prisons, because these were the fantasies that men had. It's been going on for decades. It will be uncomfortable for anyone to feel like the only thing people see when they look at them is this. It's almost like you're just a piece of meat.
Traffic Conversations podcast.
Welcome back to Traffic Conversations. Today, let's talk about something very, very difficult to articulate. Many people have heard about Sydney Sweeney. However, she's one from a long line of Hollywood it girls who have been basically put up as erotic symbols. I'm trying not to use a word that YouTube will flag and put a hit on the video. So they have been the fantasy of men. They have been portrayed as desirable, and they are given roles in movies that encourage that fantasy, and they are paid for it. Now, when you have this happening and going on a regular basis, there's always a consequence. Before we move forward, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to this channel. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified when fresh content is available on our channel. Hit the like button so that the YouTube algorithm knows that the video is useful to you and will promote it as well and let others know that it exists. And please consider sharing the video. We need to hit escape velocity to have more people listen to this content and hopefully be encouraged by it. If you're listening to this podcast on a podcasting platform, please consider subscribing on that platform so that you'll be notified about fresh content when it is released. So, why is it that Hollywood has to create these symbols? It is because, honestly, it sells. And most of these actresses are groomed from young ages. I had never heard of Sydney Sweeney, never knew she was a thing until she hit the red carpet during the premiere of Madame Web. And all of the movie reviewers that I follow basically used her as a meme for over a month. And sadly, it was really all about her low neckline. She is a very attractive woman, like all of the Hollywood A-list actresses are, and all of the symbols that they have created they are all gorgeous. And while they are young, they make sure that when they hit the red carpet, they push the boundaries of how much less they can wear on the red carpet. They make it so that that buzz of these actresses hits the high heavens, so that when movies are released, men in their droves have to rush to buy tickets to those movies. And then, look, they get old, and then Hollywood moves on to the next. That's the reality. And right now, Sydney Sweeney is the focus of attention. There's an article that was released recently, and I'll like to read the article. And it's really sad that that this article is the way it's phrased, okay? Because you can almost feel the discomfort in her voice, all right? So here it says Sydney Sweeney's brutal confession about being sexualized. She says, I have no control, right? She says, I have no control. The actress has said people online have a weird relationship with her. That's what happens when highly, highly suggestive pictures of a beautiful woman are put on display. In the 50s and 60s and even earlier, Hollywood actresses were put on center spreads in magazines, and sometimes posters will be printed, and most of these posters wound up on the walls of garages and in many cases the walls of prisons, because these were the fantasies that men had. So it's been going on for decades. And it will be uncomfortable for anyone to feel like the only thing people see when they look at them is this. It's almost like you're just a piece of meat. And so Sydney Sweeney has opened up about what it's like to be constantly sexualized throughout her career, saying that constant comments over her body make her feel like she has no control over the online discussion. The 26-year-old Anyone But You star confessed that she doesn't allow herself to have a reaction to the discourse about her looks and physique, while saying she's still trying to figure it out. Here's the thing. If you continue to show up in a particular kind of outfit and you continue to feature in movies that portray you as an object, okay, the narrative will continue to move forward. Sadly, that might just be the gimmick that her publicists and her team have decided she should go with, because good girls, according to some quarters in Hollywood, don't do well. They don't get roles. They don't get the push. They don't get the face time that is required for a Hollywood star to have to be successful in that town. Conversation about the star's body ramped up again after her hosting appearance on Saturday Night Live, with footage of Sydney wearing a low-cut dress and thanking the audience, having been viewed more than 25 million times on social media. I see it and I just can't allow myself to have a reaction, she said in a recent interview with Variety. I don't know how to explain it. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. Let me explain this to you, Sydney, if you've not figured it out yet. But look, I don't think Sydney is unaware of what's going on. As long as you, Sydney, continue to show up in outfits like this, people are going to continue to ogle at you. And that's the image you've put out there. Sydney implied that people often don't see her as a real-life person who can see their remarks because of her fame and the belief that she's signed her life away. So this is beginning to lean towards the victim. This is beginning to lean towards the victim end of the spectrum, where someone says, yeah, I know I put myself out there. I know I show up on the red carpet with clothes that expose a very large portion of my chest. I know that everybody is talking about my chest, and I go ahead and I wear clothes that actually expose my chest. And I'm wondering, why is it that people are doing this? People they believe I've signed my life away, because the decisions you make give them that impression. People believe that I am not on a human level anymore because I am an actor. And that's something that concerns me. I feel that actors need a lot of support, and what I mean by support is, I don't mean encouragement to keep doing things that don't work well for their lives. A lot of actors are going through massive anxiety attacks. They're going through a lot of pain. They're going through a lot of discomfort. Their privacy is taken away. They are no longer private individuals. They always go online and they say, please respect my privacy, but they are no longer private people because they are public individuals. They are on movies, they are on screens, they are everywhere, and people look up to them. Okay? And depending on how they portray themselves, people that impression is enhanced because of their visibility. And so when people look and they see this person clearly isn't ashamed of the way she dresses. She's very comfortable with being ogled at. Therefore, she's an actor. She must be okay. In fact, she must be okay with it. She must be willing. She must be looking forward to the attention she's getting. That's what I mean. When you put yourself out there that way, that's the signal you're sending. That these characters are for everybody else, but then me as Sydney is not for me anymore. She continued. It's this weird relationship that people have with me that I have no control or say over. It's like, I read this and it feels like it almost sounds naive. It's either naive or dishonest. She's over 25 years old. I don't think she's naive. But I hope she's not being dishonest. But at 25, saying these things, saying when I show up on the red carpet with a low neckline, revealing a major aspect of me, and men lust after me. And they say these things like, I watch movie reviewers and she's become a meme. In fact, for a period, her photo, her red carpet photo for the Madame Web red carpet was the major thumbnail on many YouTuber movie reviewers videos, because honestly, those thumbnails were getting clicked like crazy by men who were attracted to that look. Okay, so let me keep going. Sydney also spoke about the competitive acting industry and how it's harder for women to be taken as seriously as their male counterparts. There's way more actresses in the pool in this industry than there are actors. So you have a higher rate of competition. But as a male, it's much easier to do one movie that does really well, and then you can get offered any film that you want, she said. And me, I'm still getting, can she act? Accusations. Well, she says, go watch Reality, White Lotus, Euphoria, Sharp Objects, Handmaid's Tale. But okay, I'll keep trying to prove myself and hope that one day I can cast with an amazing director and have a film that people recognize. All right. What I'm going to say, I say unpopular things sometimes. What I'm going to say to Sydney is this. Sydney, you're a beautiful woman. Everyone knows that you are right now. And you have made the decision to show up in public looking a certain way. I would want to make a suggestion. That suggestion is create a new image for yourself. You're 26, you're still young, you have a lot of years ahead of you, and you need to take a risk and make some changes if you're willing to. If this article is an indication of the silent cry that's going on the inside of you, the advice that I would give is make some adjustments. Please stop showing up on red carpet and shows with those outfits that do things to men that cause them to look at you the way you say that you're uncomfortable with. It also causes people that cast for roles to treat you that way as well. I know that Sydney may not identify herself as a Christian or as a religious person or as a spiritual person, but the word of God is for everyone. It is for everyone who will accept it and choose to live by the dictates of the scriptures. And here, I'm going to read 1 Timothy chapter 2, and I'll start from verse 9. I also want the women to dress modestly, with decency and propriety, adorning themselves not with elaborate hairstyles or gold or pearls or expensive clothes, but with good deeds appropriate for women who profess to worship God. I know that for a lot of people it's old-fashioned to read the Bible, and some people might be tempted to feel offended. How dare you ask someone else to live a particular way? I'm only offering a suggestion because clearly what she's doing, if the interview we just went through is anything to go by, what she's been doing clearly isn't working for her emotional stability. Having men ogle you and see you only as an object is very unhealthy. It begins to work on your image of yourself. I mean, think of all of the Hollywood female A-listers over the years. Google how they all ended up, because it's difficult to be seen a particular way. That the only way people see you is a certain way. You don't have a brain. The only thing about you is your body. It leaves an imprint on you that is devastating. It's bad enough when people look at another person and label them a certain thing, or when you're on a job and people can only see you as someone who is only fit for a certain role. Meanwhile, you know you are more than that and you're better than that. Imagine how that feels. Now, imagine that feeling times 1,000, because when for a woman, the only thing she feels that people value her for is just what she looks like, that begins to put a lot of pressure on the woman to begin to augment her looks. And she's obsessed. She gets obsessive about the way she looks, and it gets unhealthy very fast, and it can lead to very dark places. So Sydney Sweeney, she needs prayers. She needs support. She needs encouragement. Her friends and family are around her, should surround her and help her to make a different choice and appear differently in public and begin to reinvent herself. If she wants to show she can act, she should show she can act. Take the attention off the other thing that she's bothered about and begin to put out some really great performances that have nothing to do with the way she looks. This is a tall order, yes. But you see, Sydney Sweeney is just a symptom of the society we live in, because there are 10 million Sydney Sweeneys out there. They don't operate in front of the cameras in Hollywood, but they operate everywhere else. And people look at them, and the only thing people see is the physical. And why do people only see the physical? Is because they have chosen to dress a certain way, to show up a certain way. And eventually, the imprint that they have left on people's minds is that they are only a body, a piece of meat. So it's time for you as well. If you're listening and you've entered into that phase where, just like this young lady, people see you and that's all they think about. You're just a piece of meat to them. Consider making some changes. Consider changing the way you show up. Consider changing the way you dress. Consider throwing away certain things, because the way you dress is the way you will be addressed. That's what someone told me many years ago. And begin to apply these scriptures that we just read, this scripture we just read. Dress modestly and with decency and propriety. Dress modestly with decency and propriety. Don't complain about being seen a certain way when you are encouraging people to see you in that way by the way you show up. I'm going to end it here. I don't want this to be drawn out. I guess the message is really clear. And I hope this message has been heard the way I intended for it to be heard. Because when I saw this article, it rang a very sour note for me, because you look at someone who has a whole life ahead of her, beautiful, and the only thing people see and talk about is her body. And that's really, it's the same for others, in the other industry. Maybe we'll talk about it at another time. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for considering what I've said. If you like what you heard, please consider subscribing to this channel. Hit the bell icon to be notified when new content is released. Like the video, share the video to with your family and friends and your network, and send a comment if you agree with what I said. If you don't agree with what I said, if you have extra thoughts about what I said, please send a comment. There's a feature on the Spotify app that allows you to send a voice note. You can go to Spotify, use the voice note tool to send in a voice note if you feel like expressing yourself vocally. And please consider subscribing on whatever podcasting platform you're listening to this episode on. Hope I said it right. And consider sharing again. Yes, share it to your family and friends. Please, when you send a comment, please be cautious. It is difficult to sit in front of the camera and speak to people, and then only for comments to come in that clearly show that the video was not listened to in full and considered carefully before comments started flying. But when comments come, I will consider them. A few or a lot, I don't know, maybe a few of them will be responded to, mostly by a video being done to really give the nuance of the answer so that nothing is missed. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And until next time, God bless you.